Gal Gadot is one of the most recognizable faces on the planet right now. Wonder Woman, Fast and Furious, Red Notice, endless Netflix thumbnails, she's everywhere. She's a global icon, a brand, a meme template, and a red carpet event all by herself. But somewhere along the way, a lot of people started talking about her like she's one of the great actresses of her generation. Like pure presence automatically equals performance, and that's where things get a little shaky. She's absolutely successful, she's absolutely charismatic, but great actress? Not really. So yeah, Gal Gadot is overrated. Not bad, not talentless, just rated way above what her actual acting work supports. Before we jump into why Gal Gadot gets more hype than she sometimes deserves, do me a solid, hit subscribe, tap that bell icon, and tell me in the comments what big name actor or director you want me to break down next. I'm director Ammar Hejazi, and today we're unpacking Gal Gadot, the superhero icon who looks the part, owns the spotlight, but maybe doesn't always deliver when it comes to pure acting. Let's start fair. Gal Gadot is not some random who stumbled into Hollywood by accident. She served in the military, did modeling, then broke into acting the hard way. She brought a fresh, cool energy to the Fast and Furious franchise when it was basically turning into Car Avengers. And when she first showed up as Wonder Woman in Batman v Superman, the internet lost its mind. The theme music hits, she blocks Doomsday's blast, smirks, and everyone goes, okay, that's Wonder Woman. She has undeniable screen presence. She photographs insanely well. She moves like someone who's physically capable, not just pretending to be a fighter. In the first Wonder Woman movie, there are legit charming moments. The ice cream scene, her fish out of water confusion in London, the No Man's Land sequence where she climbs out of the trench. That image is iconic for a reason. On a poster, in a still frame, in slow motion with a Hans Zimmer riff, Gal Gadot absolutely looks like a superhero. That matters. Hollywood has cast plenty of people who looked ridiculous in the suit. She doesn't. So credit where it's due. Her physicality, charisma, and the way she holds the camera helped reboot a classic character for a whole generation. The problem starts when we confuse great image with great performance. There's a big difference between being perfectly cast in one breakout role and being a truly versatile top-tier actor. If you look at Gadot's filmography and strip away the slow-motion hero shots and the dramatic music, her acting range is limited. She tends to play one version of herself over and over. Cool, slightly detached, charming, vaguely tough, but rarely emotionally deep or surprising. Think about the way she delivers lines. A lot of the time, it feels stiff and a little flat, like she's reading something she just memorized 10 minutes ago. The emotions are there in broad strokes: angry, sad, happy, determined, but they don't have many layers underneath. There's not much subtlety in the face or the voice. You can almost see the now I frown, now I smile, now I shout switches. Compare that to someone like Charlize Theron, who can go from monster to Mad Max, Fury Road to Tully and disappear into each role. Or even someone closer to Gadot's casting lane, like Emily Blunt in Edge of Tomorrow and Sicario. Those performances have little micro-expressions, awkward pauses, and messy humanity. You feel like you're watching a person, not an actor hitting their marks. With Gadot, a lot of the time you get superhero mode on, or model mode on. It's not embarrassing, it's just basic. And basic is perfectly fine, until the internet starts saying she's one of the best actresses working today. You see it clearly when studios try to plug her into different genres. In Wonder Woman, the costume, mythology, and action sequences do a lot of heavy lifting. The world around her is so strong that she only has to hit a few emotional beats. But put her in a straight-up comedy or a grounded drama, and the limitations show. In those buddy action comedy roles, you can feel the jokes bounce off her just a little bit. Timing's not quite there, line delivery feels rehearsed instead of natural, and she leans on her smile instead of the performance. It's like watching someone who knows what funny is supposed to look like, but hasn't fully internalized it. The camera loves her, but loving the camera back is not the same as inhabiting a character. Another big issue is vocal and emotional range. Great actors use their voice like an instrument. They shift tone, rhythm, volume, accent to build a character from the inside out. Gadot pretty much sounds exactly like Gadot in everything she does. Same rhythm, same slight accent, same emphasis. Again, not a crime. Audiences like familiarity, but when people start putting her in the serious actress conversation, that's where you have to ask, where's the transformation? Where's the role where you forget you're watching Gal Gadot and just see a person? With her, you're almost always fully aware. That's Gal Gadot in a wig, Gal Gadot in armor, Gal Gadot in a dress. She's a star, not a chameleon. If you look at the emotional peaks of her movies, you can see the ceiling. In Wonder Woman, when she's devastated about humanity's cruelty or heartbroken over Steve Trevor, you understand what she's going for. but the scenes don't really crush you the way similar moments do in other comic book movies with stronger actors. You don't get the layered, broken, conflicted vibe that, say, Hugh Jackman brings to Logan or Heath Ledger brings to Joker. With Gadot, you get one clean emotion at a time. It's serviceable, it tells the story, but it doesn't live in you afterward. There's also the marketing machine problem. The industry decided early on that she was going to be the face of a certain kind of empowerment. Press tours, magazine covers, interviews, all framed her as this unstoppable symbol of strength, beauty, and kindness. That's great PR. But PR can tilt perception hard. When you keep seeing headlines like Gal Gadot carries the dceu or Gal Gadot proves she's an elite actress, it starts to feel less like criticism and more like branding. Add in social media fan accounts that treat every moment like legendary cinema. And suddenly any attempt to say, hey, she's not that good in this scene, sounds like blasphemy. The hype becomes a bubble that floats way above the actual work. And then you get the miscasting issue that always comes with overhyped stars. When an actor's popularity is sky high, studios begin to plug them into roles just because they're hot, not because they're ideal for the part. Gadot, being rumored or attached to complex historical or dramatic roles, raised eyebrows for a reason. Playing an iconic superhero who's larger than life is one thing. Carrying a nuanced portrait of a complicated real person is another. If your emotional range is mostly built on 2 or 3 expressions, that limitation is going to show painfully under the microscope of a serious biopic or heavy drama. The more serious the script, the easier it is for audiences to see the difference between someone who really vanishes into a role and someone who's mostly repeating a persona. When you put Gadot next to truly heavyweight performers, the contrast is kind of brutal. In ensemble films where she's acting opposite people with deep theater backgrounds or decades of experience, you feel the difference immediately. The way they inhabit silence, the way they react in the background when they're not speaking, the way they throw away small lines with more nuance than her big speeches, it exposes the gap between movie star and actor's actor. That doesn't make her useless or unwatchable. It just means she's being talked about at a level that doesn't match the reality of what she actually does on screen. There's also a craft conversation that almost never happens around her. With top-tier actors, you'll hear directors talk about choices, how they built the character, how they played against the line, how they found something unexpected in the scene. With Gadot, most of the praise you hear is about her being a joy to work with, professional, hardworking, bringing light to the set. Those are all nice, human qualities. But when the compliments are mostly about attitude and vibe instead of specific acting choices, that tells you something about where the real strengths are. On top of that, her performances often feel clean in a way that actually works against realism. Real people stumble over words, interrupt themselves, trail off, contradict their own sentences. Gadot's delivery is usually very straight. You can feel the beginning, middle, and end of each line, as if it's been rehearsed many times. That makes for great trailers, because everything sounds neat and quotable, but it makes dialogue scenes feel less like real people talking and more like a commercial. When you're building myth, that can work. When you're trying to build a character, it's a problem. Here's the thing though, being overrated doesn't mean she shouldn't be in movies. It doesn't mean she doesn't deserve success. Gal Gadot clearly works hard, stays in shape, takes the job seriously, and brings a certain light to the screen lots of people connect with. She's opened doors for more international, non-American accent leads in big franchises. She showed young girls they could see a female superhero front and center in a giant tentpole film. That impact is real and shouldn't be dismissed. From a cultural standpoint, she matters. But if we're talking purely from a craft perspective, acting technique, emotional depth, versatility, risk-taking, she's not in the same league as the people she often gets compared to. The hype around her talent is louder than the work actually justifies. She shines in a narrow lane, stylized, heroic, aspirational characters where presence matters more than nuance. Outside that lane, the cracks in the performance start to show. And as long as we keep pretending she's operating at a Meryl Streep or Cate Blanchett level, we're doing a disservice both to her and to what great acting really looks like. So yeah, Gal Gadot is overrated. Not a fraud, not a fluke, not some talentless mannequin, just a very charismatic, very well-packaged star whose public image and online fandom have inflated her reputation as an actress beyond what's on the screen. She does some things very well. She doesn't do everything well. That's normal. The problem isn't her, it's the way the conversation around her skips over nuance and jumps straight to worship. Thanks for hanging out with me on this breakdown and sticking all the way to the end. If you like this kind of honest, slightly dangerous film talk, go check out the other episodes, like the deep dive on Timothée Chalamet being overrated, the breakdowns of directors everyone calls genius without really questioning why, and all the video essays on films that actually earned their hype. If you enjoyed this one, binge the older videos. Drop a comment telling me if Gal Gadot is your Wonder Woman forever, or if you secretly agree she's more image than performance, and tell me who I should go after next. This is director Ammar Hejazi. Keep questioning the hype, keep watching smart, and I'll see you in the next one.